Greetings, beloved brothers and sisters. Over the course of working with many individuals and couples in his private practice, this dear one noticed that there are conversations that people get into that can't possibly come to a good end. To generalize, conversations having to do with an opinion or a point of view or a belief are often ineffective in creating what one hopes would happen, which is a unification of two people. There's an old expression, a mind convinced against its will is of the same opinion still. This is quite true. And if you allow people to just converse in front of you, you will find that at the end of all that talking, no one is convinced. Even if you are temporarily convinced, the ego comes back later and says, I still say, and goes right back to its original position. This is the problem with taking a position, having a belief, and believing that your belief is true. Opinions, beliefs, suspicions, assertions are all disconnected from reality because there is no love in them. It's the tyranny of being right. It's the ego wanting to be consistent and convince someone that they are right and another way of thinking is wrong. It's an easy way to gather people who feel similarly, but it does not connect you with a person in a way that's meaningful and useful and long-lasting. After observing how his children spoke when they were very young, he realized that they were doing something quite different. They weren't trying to convince one another, they were just expressing how they felt and getting things off their chest, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wanted. It was very simple. And he noticed that when they did that, they very quickly were restored back to being friends again. Even though a few minutes before, they were furious at each other. Over time, he was able to make distinctions about when is a person telling the truth and when are they not. And if you're able to do that, you can get to a place where it's much easier to release what you're holding on to, just by self-expression alone. No longer needing to convince anybody of anything or secure their agreement or alignment. You restore yourself back to yourself by getting in touch with your truth and expressing it. This proved to be very effective and was kind of a breakthrough in communication between couples and between partners in business. And yet, over time, his wife, who practiced these techniques as well, said to him, do you think that rather than you tell your truth and I tell my truth, could we just get to the part where we are in forgiveness? And his first reaction was, no, we have to go through this process. But then he said, let's try that. I wonder if we could move right to forgiveness. And that was what he and his wife started to call a do-over. It was almost like you could back time up and start over and not go down the path of right and wrong and good and bad and all the other rhetoric that was used. But instead, start over from a loving place where forgiveness is the natural state of affairs. It's a choice. This was spoken of in A Course in Miracles. When you recognize that you made a choice and you decided wrongly, but since the choice was yours, you could choose otherwise. You could let the Holy Spirit speak for you, for God. When you step back, you'll realize that you're offered the chance to undo the mistaken decision that you have made at any moment, with every breath, with every new day. You have a do-over. You can leave a room and come back in and start the conversation again. From a loving place this time, from an understanding, from a place of forbearance and forgiveness ahead of time. It is always a choice to be right, a choice to side with the ego, to side with separation, or a choice to align with your true self and recognize that you are already joined in love with this person. I encourage you to take advantage of this. There is no time. There is no space. Take advantage of this opportunity to have a do-over anytime you wish. It's a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new life. Love is refreshed when you do this. You are restored to yourself. Just a choice. Just a recognition. I don't want to go down this trail. I don't want to be separate. I don't care if I'm right. It's more important that I be connected and in love and at peace. And the first step is to recognize that you don't have peace, but you want it. If you want peace, you choose again, and you let the Holy Spirit choose for you, for God. The opportunities will present themselves faster and faster, so that you can recognize when you're going down a track that you don't like, that will not lead to fulfillment or happiness, joy, but will leave you forlorn. Back up. Take a deep breath. And if you need to, ask for a do-over from whomever you're with. They might just grant you that. Even if they don't, you can do your own do-over. by making the choice again, this time deciding for love, for God. It is a miracle. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.